Beacon. Ashbin took it upon himself to show the recording of how Jaune saved Carden from an Ursa to protect Jaune from further gossip. He never knew Carden would report Jaune either way. He can't stop the Ark family from coming to Beacon, bringing an unforeseen problem. Ashbin's office. Ashbin. Mr. Winchester still caused a problem. Glinda, it's like I told you, he is nothing but trouble. But now the Arks have been calling us non-stop about Jaune. Ashbin was about to speak, but his scroll ringed. He picked it up hoping it's not Mr. Ark's parents, but he was surprised. Garen. Hello Oz. Ashbin eyes widens. Ashbin. Hello Garen, have you heard the news? Garen. Yes, I'm on my way to defend the boy. But I don't believe he needs it, although I just want to see what he will do to my rebellious son. Ashbin. I see you're still disappointed with him. Garen. Not at all. Everyone has the right to choose their path. But if he takes that choice away from someone, especially his own son, then we have problems. Ashbin. I hope this is resolved peacefully. Garen. You do know Mandalorians don't resolve anything peacefully. Ashbin. I know, and it seems your grandson is in keeping with the traditions exemplary. Garen. Yes, I'm proud of that boy, he reminds me of the Mandalors of old. Ashbin. Indeed he is. Cafeteria. RWBY. So Jaune, I heard you're a runaway. Jaune. From a certain point of view, yes. But I was taken in by my grandfather. Blake. What do you mean by a certain point of view? Jaune. The truths we cling to is often dependent of our certain point of view. From my parents' point of view, I ran away from home. From mine, I just went on and lived with my grandfather. Young. Then you left your grandpa too. Jaune. That's wrong. My grandfather waited until I reached the right age. He asked me what I want to do with my life. Then I was traveling to gain real battlefield experience. Young. And you brought your daughter with you. Ren. Don't you think it's dangerous? Jaune. Well, she had nowhere else to go and I don't want to burden my grandfather any further. I took it to teach her everything I know, so if anything happens to me she can be strong enough to live on her own. Ren. Practical, but a bit too much. She's still too young. Weiss. Pretty irresponsible, if you ask me. Jaune. Good thing I'm not asking you. And what do you know about taking care of someone else besides yourself? Weiss. And what is that supposed to mean? Feeling offended. Jaune. As far as I can tell, you seem to be well taken care of, and I doubt you barely had to break bone or pulled a muscle in order to make a living. Weiss. Why, I never. Blake just smiled behind her book. Lilith. Papa, I finished my food. Jaune. Did you eat your greens? Lilith nodded. Jaune. Good, now here's your cookie. Lilith. Yay. A commotion was happening at the door. Mrs. Ark. Please take me to my son. Glinda. If they follow the schedules, they should be in the cafeteria. The teams looked to the doors and saw a tall blonde young woman. But Jaune instantly pales. Now identified as Sherry, Ark saw Jaune and immediately charges at him. John just stood and braces himself, and he was swept of his feet and subjected to a bone-crushing hug. Sherry, my baby boy, where have you been? Why did you leave? Sob. John struggled to speak. John asked, Father. Sherry looks at him questioningly. Then a man approached who looked like an adult-looking John, but with black hair and wearing armor. Everyone is slightly intimidated. John only stares coldly at his so-called father. Richard, John, I told you to look for something else to do with your life. John, I'm old enough now to make my own choice. The two just glares at each other. Lilith made a mistake of drawing attention to herself. Lilith, Papa, who's these two people? The parents look to the girl and back to John, then back to the girl until Sherry asks, Sherry, John, who's this little girl? John, and he gives up knowing he'll get an earful from his mother's. She's my daughter. The two parents' eyes widen, then Sherry goes to Lilith. Sherry, and what's your name, little lady? Lilith, my name's Lilith. Sherry then scooped her up and embraced her gently. Lilith, who are you, lady? Sherry, I'm your grandmother, little Bun Bun. Lilith, yay, I finally meet Grandma. The teens just cooed, but the two arcs were still staring each other to death. Richard, you're coming home, young man. John, I don't think so, Dick. Sherry covers Lilith's ears. Sherry, John, it's his name, Mom, and I enjoy using it 'cause it fits him perfectly. That's enough. Another armored man appeared. Richard, Father. John, Grandfather.